Alright, so this is my first movie slash TV review, and this is of Psych, my favorite show ever, that aired. First episode came out in 2006, kind of a long time ago, but it is currently on Amazon Prime Video if you guys want to check it out or anything. I love this show. It's amazing, it's funny, everything's great about it. And the show ended in like 2014, I forget, but they have 2 movies out. One just came out in like 2020 or 2019. I think it was 2020, yeah. And they're still great. They've made 2 movies. I love the movies. The show is amazing. And yeah, it's a different video than what it usually is, but I just really wanted to start doing movie reviews and like TV show reviews. Psych, if you don't know what it is, it's about a guy he's not really a psychic, but he works for the police department. They all think he's a psychic because his dad is a police officer. He used to work for that office or that department, and he trained his son, Sean Spencer, that's the main character, to just have a like good eye for detail and like observe everything. And so he would call the police department whenever he'd see like people talking about it on the news, and he would tell them, and he would call them, and he would tell them who the bad guy was. And they asked him to come to the police station, and they were gonna arrest him because they thought he was a part of the crimes. So, but then he like started freaking out and acting like some spirits were attacking him and that he's a psychic. And then he just joined the police department, helped them. And his best friend Gus, him and Sean are amazing together. They're so funny. So once he convinces the police department that he's a psychic, he goes talks with his best friend Gus, and he convinces him to help him solve crimes for them. And dude, they're so funny together. Every time they like go to some place and meet someone, Sean makes up a funny name for Gus, like every time. Never uses his real name. The only time he uses his real name is when it was like a violent criminal and you don't want him to know your real name, then he actually used it. And yeah. So the first episode, that was just like getting everything set. But the second episode, that one's like one of the best, because that's when it was really funny. It was a great story. It was the spelling bee. It was about a crime on a spelling bee judge dies while they're at the spelling bee, and they solve the crime because they really wanted to, or Gus really wanted to, because he's like a big nerd about spelling bee stuff. And but Sean always made fun of him like, all the time. Every episode in season 1 is great. The only one might be actually, I think they're all great. Like some of them are better, like the second episode, the spelling bee, and but yeah. Alright, now let's go through all the characters. So, Sean, he's the psychic. Gus, he works at a pharmaceutical company, and everyone always makes fun of him for that. But he's Sean's best friend since they were kids. And Henry Spencer is Sean's dad. He used to be a cop, but now he's retired. And Juliet O'Hara is introduced in the second episode, and she is a detective at the police department, and she trusts that Sean is a psychic, and Sean likes her. Like, he has a crush on her, but they never do anything about it. But Carlton Lassiter, he's the head detective of the place. He doesn't believe Sean's an actual psychic. He never wants to work with him. He doesn't like Sean. And Karen Vick is the chief of the police station. She just controls all the stuff the police do, and she controls whether Sean and Gus get hired for cases. In some cases that she hires them just for herself. Like, there's an episode, I don't know if it's the first season, but she hires them to find them a babysitter, and then they find out that the babysitter is actually doing crimes. It's like, and every episode is funny. There's not a boring episode in the first season. Every episode is great. All of them are funny. They're always telling good jokes. They always make me laugh. Alright, and the last episode, it's the season finale. It was like Scary Sherry. It was like a scary episode, and it shows like how Sean and Gus, they're not like actual men. They're like little kids. Like a ghost. Wasn't really a ghost. It was just a person that killed someone. I was like haunting these people, and he popped up and made it like scary. And they went running to the car screaming, freaking out, trying to get in, and freaking out. They dropped the keys and stuff, and then the doors were unlocked the whole time. Oh, I almost forgot. The theme song to Psych, I Know You Know, fits perfectly with the show. Like, every time I hear that, I love that song so much. And every time I hear it, I always think of Psych. Yeah. Because even in the song, it says psych you out. And it just fits perfect in it. And also, they have Gus, since he works at that pharmaceutical company. He has this little car. It's a little tiny car. It's not that tiny, but they call it the Blueberry because it's blue and it's small like a blueberry. And they drive that everywhere. On one of the episodes, they like customize it because there's a crime at this garage, and they're customizing the car, and they get all painted. Or Sean does this without Gus knowing, and Gus freaks out once he figures out that what Sean does. I should have talked about this at the beginning. I know, it's like the point of the show is like Sean and Gus, they hear about a crime, they go to the crime scene with the police and stuff. They find out clues because Sean, he got taught from his dad that to observe stuff really well, and he can go back into his mind later on and see stuff that he saw. And so they look for clues, and then Sean and Gus, they go off and they do their stuff on their own while the cops are all doing whatever they are, and they like slowly piece it together. And by the end, Sean acts like he's having a psychic vision. Like, he freaks out, goes crazy, makes a noise, shakes around the place, and then he kind of like, and then gives you a little flashback while he's explaining like what happened. And he always does it in front of Lassiter because Lassiter doesn't believe him. He gets mad every time. But then Sean's always right. He always gets it right, and then Lassiter always thinks that even though he got it right, he still thinks that he's not psychic. Thank you guys for listening to my season 1 review. I know it's my first one. I kind of was all over the place, but I love movies and TV shows, so I'll be doing more reviews. This is what I like to do. Thank you for watching.